Imagine the aged pages of an old calendar being flipped through, each sheet revealing a distant echo of how our ancestors understood time. Now, stop and reflect. What if the time we follow today is not just a practical invention, but a disconnection from the natural and spiritual cycles that shaped life for millennia? What if everything we know about time is an illusion, a modern construct that pulls us away from the true rhythm of existence? This is the question the 1775 Bible invites us to explore. Within its pages lies a calendar that challenges everything we take for granted. A 13-month calendar, aligned with the cycles of the moon, offering a glimpse into a more harmonious, natural time and perhaps closer to divine truth. In this video, we will dive into history, uncover the mysteries of this forgotten calendar, and reflect on how it might change the way we see the world and live our lives. Are you ready to question everything you know about time? History of Human Calendars. Exploring the connection to natural cycles, the history of human calendars is a testament to our species' attempt to understand and align with the universe. From the earliest days of civilization, people observed the skies, using the movements of the sun, moon, and stars as guides to mark time. These were the most accessible tools, present in every sunrise and sunset, connecting earthly life to cosmic rhythms. Solstices, for example, played a vital role for our ancestors. The summer solstice marked the sun's highest point in the sky, signifying the longest day of the year. Conversely, the winter solstice, with its longest night, represented the promise of light returning to the world. These celestial markers were not merely astronomical events. They dictated planting and harvesting rhythms, influenced spiritual rituals, and were celebrated as moments of renewal and hope. Equinoxes, when day and night are of equal length, symbolized balance. They were seen as periods of transition, both in the heavens and on earth. Many cultures celebrated these moments as a call to harmonize inner life with the world around them. The ancient Egyptians, for instance, linked the equinoxes to the flooding of the Nile, which was essential for agriculture. The moon, with its roughly 29-day cycle, guided the creation of the first monthly calendars. Its visible phases from new moon to crescent, and finally to full moon, offered a natural clock for ancient peoples. Each phase was associated with different energies and purposes: the beginning of projects, the strengthening of intentions, and rest at the cycle's end. Indigenous cultures worldwide viewed the moon as a nurturing feminine force, governing the rhythms of life. More advanced civilizations combined these observations into complex calendars. The Maya, renowned for their astronomical knowledge, created a system that not only tracked time, but also predicted cosmic events with impressive accuracy. They believed that each day carried a unique spiritual energy, reflected in the movements of celestial bodies. Ancient Egypt used the heliacal rising of the star Sirius to mark the start of the year. This event coincided with the flooding of the Nile, a moment of abundance that sustained their entire civilization. The concept of time was deeply connected to the flow of life and the natural cycles governing the world. However, as civilizations expanded, the need to standardize time arose. Changes to the calendar, such as the introduction of the Julian and later the Gregorian calendars, often reflected the interests of rulers and religious institutions more than the natural cycles our ancestors once revered. When we look back, we see how these ancient calendars were not merely ways of counting days, but living systems that kept humanity connected to the greater forces of the universe. Perhaps there is something to be learned from these ancient methods, an opportunity to remember that time is not just a tool for organization, but also a spiritual guide for living in harmony with the natural rhythms of existence. Alternative calendars, systems and adaptations through the centuries. The history of calendars is marked by diversity and how each civilization shaped time to meet its spiritual, agricultural, and social needs. Some of the most fascinating and influential calendars were created by the Maya, Egyptians, and Hebrews each reflecting a unique worldview and its relationship with time. The Maya, renowned for their astronomical precision, developed one of the most complex calendar systems of antiquity. Their sacred calendar, the Tzolk'in, had 260 days and was tied to spiritual and ritual cycles. Alongside it, the Hab, a solar calendar of 365 days, tracked the seasons of the year. These two systems functioned like interlocking gears, creating the long count calendar, which was used to track vast periods of time and predict cosmic events. For the Maya, time was cyclical, with each period representing renewal and a fresh beginning. In ancient Egypt, the calendar was deeply connected to the Nile. Egyptians observed the heliacal cycle of Sirius, a star whose appearance on the horizon coincided with the Nile's flooding, a crucial event for agriculture. The Egyptian calendar consisted of 12 months of 30 days, with 5 additional days set aside for religious festivities, totaling 365 days. This system was notably efficient, but over time, small discrepancies with actual cycles accumulated, necessitating periodic adjustments. The Hebrew calendar combines solar and lunar elements, functioning as a lunisolar system. Each month is based on the lunar cycle of approximately 29.5 days, but the year is adjusted to the solar cycle by periodically adding a 13th month in specific years. This adjustment, known as intercalation, ensures that religious observances, such as Passover, remain aligned with the seasons. This practice reflects a conscious effort to maintain a spiritual and agricultural connection with natural cycles. The transition to modern systems of timekeeping, such as the Julian and later the Gregorian calendar, reflected an attempt to align time with the interests of religious and political institutions. The Julian calendar, introduced by Julius Caesar, simplified the year to 365 days with an extra day added every 4 years. However, this system accumulated a discrepancy of about 11 minutes per year. Centuries later, the Gregorian calendar was introduced by Pope Gregory XIII to correct this discrepancy and align the calendar with the spring equinox, crucial for determining the date of Easter. Though more accurate, its adoption faced resistance in some cultures, underscoring how time is as much a cultural convention as it is a practical tool. The discovery of a 1775 Bible containing a calendar that challenges modern conventions invites reflection on how and why we measure time. For many, an ancient Bible is an artifact of faith and spirituality, but this particular copy holds a detail beyond its religious text, a 13-month calendar, with each month containing exactly 28 days. This structure, totaling 364 days, diverges significantly from the 12-month Gregorian calendar and raises profound questions about how humanity constructs its relationship with time. The 13-month calendar reflects an organization that seems intrinsically connected to natural cycles. Each month, with its 28 days, corresponds approximately to a complete lunar cycle. Historically, the moon was one of the first markers of time used by civilizations, as its visible transformation in the sky served as a universal clock. This calendar also highlights a year that, though 1 day shorter than the full solar cycle of 365.25 days, maintains a much more evident harmony with the rhythms of nature. This 13-month structure suggests an attempt to simplify time, avoiding the uneven variations in month lengths found in the modern system. To correct the 1-day discrepancy with the solar year, it is presumed that the 13-month calendar incorporated an additional day, possibly reserved for spiritual celebrations, introspection, or divine connection. Some traditions might have considered this day out of time as a sacred pause, a moment of renewal before restarting the cycle. But why was such a naturally precise calendar abandoned? Historically, the transition from ancient systems to the Gregorian calendar was more than a simple practical reform. Significant political and religious interests were at play. The Gregorian calendar, promulgated by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582, not only corrected the accumulated errors of the Julian calendar, but also served as a tool for unification and standardization. It ensured that Christian celebrations, such as Easter, remained aligned with the seasons while consolidating the Church's authority over timekeeping. The 13-month calendar, however, represented a deeper connection to the natural rhythms of the universe. In a world increasingly governed by centralized and structured systems, this model may have been seen as unsuitable for institutions seeking greater control over societies. Furthermore, the number 13, associated with cosmic balance in many ancient traditions, was gradually marginalized and, in some cultures, came to be regarded as unlucky. The presence of this calendar in the 1775 Bible serves as a reminder that alternative ideas about time persisted, even in an era when the Gregorian calendar was widely accepted. This suggests that certain religious groups or communities still valued the connection between time and natural cycles, resisting the prevailing standardization. The spirituality underlying the 13-month calendar is significant. Each month, with 28 days, reflects a complete lunar cycle, and the total number of days in the year 364 is a multiple of 7, reinforcing its connection to the 7-day week, an essential element in biblical tradition and many other ancient cultures. This alignment may have symbolized divine perfection and balance, making the calendar both a practical and spiritual tool. Additionally, there are profound philosophical implications. A calendar aligned with natural cycles challenges us to reconsider our perception of time not as something linear, but cyclical, offering opportunities for renewal with each cycle. This cyclical view of time, present in many ancient cultures, contrasts sharply with the modern approach, which often treats time as a resource to be controlled, measured, and consumed. The 1775 Bible is not just a historical artifact. It is a testament to an era when time was perceived differently. It invites us to reflect on how we have disconnected from natural rhythms and the consequences of this disconnection for our lives and spirituality. Representations of the 1775 Bible and its calendar page of the 13-month calendar. Imagine an ancient illustrated calendar with headers handwritten in dark ink, clearly displaying the names of the 13 months, each containing 28 days. The layout would be symmetrical and orderly, emphasizing its simplicity and alignment with lunar cycles. Small lunar icons or symbols might adorn the margins, reflecting its spiritual and natural connection. Religious symbols and annotations, excerpts in Latin or a mix of languages common in ancient manuscripts, might appear alongside the calendar. These annotations could include references to religious practices or instructions for sacred celebrations corresponding to each month. Historical context, stylized maps or charts of the era, could depict Europe and the Americas, highlighting regions where alternative calendar systems were still in use, or where the transition to the Gregorian calendar was ongoing. The impact of moving the new year to January historically. The beginning of the year was not always celebrated in January. Ancient cultures, such as the Romans, began the year in March, coinciding with the arrival of spring in the northern hemisphere. This natural alignment made sense, as spring symbolizes renewal, growth, and the start of a new life cycle. The transition of the new year to January, solidified by the Julian calendar in 46 BC and later reaffirmed by the Gregorian calendar, had profound implications. January was chosen in honor of the Roman god Janus, the guardian of transitions and passages. Symbolically, Janus represented looking to the past and the future, justifying his placement at the beginning of the calendar. This change was not merely symbolic, but also political. At a time when the Roman Empire sought unification, standardizing dates facilitated the organization of civil and military administrations. Aligning with January provided a consistent starting point for fiscal cycles and military campaigns. However, the change also held significant religious implications. By adopting the Julian calendar and later the Gregorian calendar, Christian authorities shaped time to reinforce religious order. Celebrations like Christmas, set in December, and Easter, whose date is determined by the spring equinox, were strategically positioned to replace or absorb pagan festivities. This shift disconnected the calendar's cycles from natural seasons. By choosing January, a cold month often devoid of significant seasonal events in the Northern Hemisphere, New Year's became more of a symbolic and cultural construct than a reflection of nature's rhythms. This reflected a transition from cyclical time, aligned with nature, to linear and institutionalized time, governed by political and religious interests. This transformation shaped how we live today, disconnected from the natural rhythms that guided ancient cultures. It is a shift that continues to influence our perception of time as a straight line rather than a continuous cycle of renewal and balance. The concept of a calendar based on 13 months, each with 28 days, is more than a historical curiosity or an attempt at mathematical simplification. It is a direct reflection of nature's rhythms, especially the cycles of the moon, which have served as a constant reference for humanity since the dawn of civilization. To deeply understand this structure is to grasp the symbiotic relationship between time, the cosmos, and life. Each lunar cycle from the new moon to the full moon and back has an average duration of 29.53 days. Historically, ancient civilizations rounded this number to 28 days, creating a calendar that could integrate regular lunar phases into a monthly structure. The 13-month calendar, totaling 364 days, reflects not just a practical observation, but also a profound understanding of life's cyclical flow. This harmonious structure includes a day out of time as a sacred marker, allowing for renewal before the start of a new cycle. The lunar cycle influences more than just the sky. It resonates with earthly nature and the internal rhythms of the human body. For example, agriculture historically relied on the moon to determine the best times for planting and harvesting. The waxing moon, with its rising energy, was seen as ideal for sowing, while the waning moon, with its diminishing force, was better suited for harvesting and storing. This alignment allowed ancient peoples to adapt to Earth's cycles, viewing time as an extension of natural rhythms rather than something artificially imposed. In the human realm, the impact of lunar cycles is equally fascinating. Modern studies show that women's menstrual cycles often align with lunar cycles, creating a biological and symbolic connection between the human body and the heavens. This synchrony was recognized in ancient cultures, which venerated the moon as a feminine symbol of fertility and renewal. Indigenous peoples worldwide associated each lunar phase with distinct spiritual energies, using the full moon for celebrations and the new moon for introspection and new beginnings. The choice of 13 months in the calendar also carries powerful symbolic significance. The number 13, often bearing negative connotations in many modern cultures, was revered in numerous ancient traditions as a number of transformation and cosmic balance. In a 13-month system, each month has the same duration and structure, creating a sense of order that resonates with mathematical and natural perfection. This symmetry was seen as a direct reflection of universal harmony. When contrasted with the Gregorian calendar, the difference is stark. In the current system, months have irregular durations, 28, 30, or 31 days, which fragments time and disconnects people from natural cycles. This irregularity, often adopted for political or social convenience, replaced a system grounded in cosmic harmony with a more artificial and linear model. Another profound aspect of the 13-month calendar is the day out of time. This additional day, which completes the 365 days of the solar year, was treated by many cultures as a moment of pause and reflection. It did not belong to any month or week and was often dedicated to celebrations, spiritual rituals, or practices of renewal. This approach underscores a respect for time that goes beyond practical measurement, recognizing it as a continuous cycle of death, rebirth, and transformation. Adopting a calendar like the 13-month system forces us to reconsider our relationship with time. Instead of viewing it as something linear, with fixed beginnings and endings, we are invited to see time as cyclical and fluid, where each day is part of a larger cycle of renewal and continuity. This alignment not only reconnects us to nature, but also helps us live more intentionally and in the present. Civilizations that used calendars based on lunar cycles often viewed time as a dance between the heavens and earth. Lunar cycles, seasonal changes, and even the internal rhythms of the human body were all interconnected. These cultures recognized that living in harmony with natural cycles brought balance not only to society, but also to the soul. The benefits of living in harmony with nature and its connections to modern spiritual practices. Living in harmony with nature is more than a philosophical choice. It is a path to reconnecting the body, mind, and spirit to the organic flow of life. The relationship between natural cycles such as the moon phases, seasonal changes, and the rhythms of day and night, and the quality of life is profound and well-founded. In a world dominated by acceleration and disconnection, returning to this harmony offers countless benefits, especially when tied to modern spiritual practices. Natural cycles provide an intrinsic structure for organizing life. Observing seasonal rhythms, for example, teaches us the importance of distinct phases: planting in spring, nurturing in summer, harvesting in autumn, and resting in winter. This understanding can be directly applied to personal life. Instead of striving for constant productivity, a hallmark of modern thinking, living in harmony with nature, reminds us to value moments of rest and introspection. This approach is deeply connected to modern spiritual practices like mindfulness. This practice, which focuses on being fully present in the moment, finds inspiration in nature. Simply observing a sunrise or the ocean's tides can become an exercise in mindfulness, teaching us to accept the present moment as it is, without judgment or resistance. Nature, with its constancy and change, guides us to let go of control and embrace the natural flow of events. Furthermore, connecting with nature fosters a deep sense of belonging. Recognizing that we are part of a larger ecosystem, that we depend on the earth, water, and air for life nurtures a greater respect for the world around us. This respect is essential to spiritual practices that value interconnectedness, such as yoga and meditation. In meditation, for instance, imagining oneself as a leaf floating on a river or a deeply rooted tree can enhance feelings of balance and stability. On a physical level, living in harmony with natural rhythms has tangible benefits. Aligning with the circadian rhythm, the body's biological clock that responds to light and darkness, improves sleep, regulates hormones, and boosts overall vitality. Adopting a more nature-connected lifestyle, such as walking outdoors during the day or limiting electronic device use at night, helps restore this harmony, benefiting both mind and spirit. Harmony with nature also encourages practices of simplicity, like minimalism and gratitude. Observing trees shedding their leaves in autumn or animals storing resources for winter reminds us of the beauty of the essential. This perspective challenges us to rethink our consumption habits and cultivate a more sustainable and spiritual mindset. Modern spiritual practices often emphasize the importance of feeling grounded and connected. Being in harmony with nature amplifies this experience because nature is, by definition, the place where all beings are rooted. The practice of grounding, for example, walking barefoot on the earth to absorb its energy, is a tangible form of reconnection. Many report that this reduces stress, promotes mental clarity, and reinforces a sense of unity with the planet. Moreover, connecting with nature serves as a constant reminder of transience and renewal. A fundamental spiritual practice is accepting impermanence, the idea that all things are in constant change. The seasons, lunar cycles, and even a plant's life cycle teach us that the end of one phase always marks the beginning of another. This acceptance can bring inner peace, easing fears of the unknown and helping us navigate life's losses and transitions. By integrating these natural lessons into practices like mindfulness or meditation, we strengthen our ability to focus on the present and find meaning in life's small details. A sunset can be more than a display of colors. It becomes a reminder that every day, regardless of its challenges, ends with beauty. A gentle breeze can symbolize the transience of thoughts, teaching us to release what no longer serves us. Spiritual connection and philosophical reflections, time, spirituality, and the search for purpose. Is time a human or divine creation? This question takes us on a journey of deep reflection, exploring different ways to comprehend something so ubiquitous, yet intangible. Time, as we perceive it today with clocks and calendars, seems like a human construct, an attempt to organize and measure the universe's movement. But is there more beyond this linear organization? Could time, in its essence, be a divine manifestation, a reflection of the eternal creative flow that sustains all existence? For many ancient cultures, time was not something to measure with precision, but a rhythm to be lived. The lunar cycles, the sunrise and sunset, and the changing seasons were understood as expressions of the divine, tangible signs of a greater force operating in perfect harmony. For the indigenous peoples of the Americas, for example, time was cyclical and deeply spiritual. Each lunar cycle represented a phase of life, and living in sync with these cycles was considered essential for maintaining internal and external balance. In Hindu culture, the concept of time or kala is inseparable from the idea of creation and destruction. It is seen as a cosmic dance, an infinite cycle of birth, growth, death, and rebirth. This understanding resonates with many other traditions that view time as cyclical, contrasting with the linear perspective predominant in the modern Western world. This cyclical perspective invites individuals to embrace change and impermanence as natural parts of life, fostering a greater sense of peace when facing inevitable transitions. In Christianity, time carries sacred significance, often associated with divine will and God's greater plan. The liturgical calendar, with its seasons and celebrations, reflects this understanding. Each religious event is an opportunity to connect with the sacred, reminding believers that time, as a divine creation, is a gift to be lived with purpose. This spiritual association of time with the divine is not limited to major religions. In Eastern philosophies like Taoism, time is seen as a natural flow, something not to be resisted but followed. Aligning oneself with the rhythm of the universe, whether it be the sunrise or the ebb and flow of tides, is a way to find harmony and meaning in life. In modern society, however, the disconnection from natural cycles and the adoption of standardized, industrialized time have distanced us from this sacred view. We live by predefined schedules, following calendars and clocks that often fail to reflect the needs of our bodies or spirits. This disconnection can lead to a sense of alienation, a feeling that we are out of sync with life. Aligning with natural cycles, on the other hand, can bring us back to center, awakening a deeper sense of purpose. When we live in harmony with nature, we learn to respect moments of action and rest, expansion and withdrawal. Just as the waning moon invites introspection, there are times in life when we must pause, reflect, and renew ourselves. Conversely, the growing energy of a new moon inspires us to plant seeds, both literal and metaphorical, and embark on new endeavors. This practice of synchronizing with natural cycles also resonates with modern spiritual concepts such as mindfulness. When we are present in the moment, we realize that time is not just something external to us, but also something that flows through us. Each breath becomes a microcosm of this universal flow, reminding us that we are both beings of time and beings of eternity. Cultivating this spiritual connection to time and the cycles of nature can transform our perception of life. Instead of seeing time as something that controls us, we begin to see it as an ally, a guide to living with greater intention and balance. By recognizing natural rhythms, we also connect to something larger than ourselves, whether it be the creative energy of the universe, a divine force, or the planet we inhabit. Understanding different calendars, particularly those aligned with natural cycles, can offer transformative perspectives for various aspects of modern life. While traditional systems like the Gregorian calendar are practical for global organization, exploring alternative models such as the 13-month calendar can help us rediscover more balanced and harmonious rhythms. This knowledge can profoundly impact productivity, mental health, and spirituality. For example, in productivity, the 13-month calendar, with its uniform structure of 28 days, creates regular cycles that can help organize projects and goals more evenly. Each month could be divided into 4 complete weeks, promoting a predictable and efficient flow of work and rest. The uniformity eliminates the irregularity often caused by the Gregorian calendar, where longer or shorter months disrupt the consistency of weekly cycles. Incorporating natural cycles into productivity also involves respecting the body's rhythms. For instance, aligning more intensive tasks with periods of higher energy, such as during the waxing and full moon phases, while reserving moments for rest and planning during the waning moon, can boost efficiency and prevent burnout. In mental health, living in sync with natural cycles provides an opportunity to reconnect with the human essence. The irregularity and accelerated pace of modern life often create a misalignment with emotional and physical needs, leading to stress and anxiety. Simple practices, such as observing the moon or dedicating time to seasonal activities, can restore a sense of balance. For example, marking lunar cycles on a personal calendar can create a self-care routine. During the full moon, a time associated with fullness, you might reflect on accomplishments or engage in gratitude rituals. At the new moon, symbolizing new beginnings, it may be the perfect time to set intentions or start projects. This practice not only organizes life, but also provides space for self-awareness and introspection. In spirituality, alternative calendars invite us to reintroduce rituals and celebrations aligned with natural cycles. Each month could be seen as a journey, with specific moments set aside for meditation, prayer, or communion with nature. Celebrating seasonal changes such as the equinox or solstice can rekindle a spiritual connection that many feel has been lost. A practical example is creating a day out of time inspired by the 13-month calendar. This day, belonging to no week or month, could be dedicated to reflection, gratitude, or simply rest. Making this an annual practice creates a unique space to disconnect from daily pressures and reconnect with the present moment. Another example is integrating seasonal cycles into routine planning. During winter, symbolizing rest and renewal, you might focus on introspective activities like planning and learning. In spring, it could be time to act, starting new projects and exploring creative opportunities. This seasonal approach respects natural rhythms and offers a guide for living more intentionally and aligned. Time, as we understand it, is more than numbers on a calendar or schedules imposed by a fast-paced routine. It is a profound journey, a constant invitation to discover the true rhythm of our existence. It's not just about measuring days, but living them fully, in harmony with nature's cycles and our own inner flow. As we conclude this reflection, think, what truths shape your perception of time? Do you feel you live in tune with what truly matters, or does time seem to slip through your fingers? I invite you to explore these questions and share your thoughts in the comments. How do you relate to time? What changes would you like to make? Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next video.